Welcome. My name is Dr. JOfuasia, and today we are delighted to have some extraordinary people with us. One of the great Kenyan country singer, Elvis Nyaruri, and he's with us here today with his manager, and we're delighted to have him here. Of course, we also have here present and accounted for the host with the most, and with Steve O.
Yes.
It's just a delight to have every one of you here.
Thank you.
And before we get started, let me encourage our audience to please like, share, and subscribe. Most of all, don't forget to hit that notification bell for me. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And Elvis, it's really good to have you here.
Thank you so much.
Really exciting. Now, we're going to get into a lot of what you do, where you've been, where you're going, where you are presently. But before we do that, I've gotten a chance to know you a little bit, but maybe you can introduce yourself to our listening audiences here at home and around the world.
Yeah, so howdy, JOfuasia followers. My name is Elvis Nyaruri. I'm a country music artist, singer, songwriter, based here in Nairobi. I was born in Mombasa, but I'm currently in Nairobi. And I have my album. It's out on all digital platforms. It's called Geshagi. So go check it out, enjoy, get to know a bit of like get to have a piece of my heart. Geshagi basically means country, so I was defining how African country music should sound.
100%.
Bless.
Nice.
Amazing. And you already know Jane Opondo here, host with the most, fashion designer, journalist, singer, musician, and just basically a Jane of many trades or of all trades. And so I'll pass on the baton. Yeah.
To George.
Yeah.
George of the jungle.
I wish. But thanks for having us. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's good to have you.
I'm managing Elvis, and we've like you said, we've put out one album. So now we're looking forward to what comes next.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, and of course, this is Oburu Ogechi Babu. Today, I don't want to say Steve-O because Steve-O is too common, man. I don't want to sound like the Matia who was stoned. But hey, welcome, guys.
Asante sana.
Karibu. And of course, it's a pleasure to have you here. So, yeah.
Thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
Welcome, guys. Really
Appreciate it.
welcome.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
It was really quite exciting for me to sit downstairs
Yep.
and talk to you.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking a Kenyan country artist, seems a little bit like an oxymoron, but I got to see some of your work and it's pretty impressive.
Okay.
How did you get into singing country, and what was it that was burning in your heart that got you passionate about this?
About country music.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my musical journey started in high school, but professionally after high school.
Okay.
I started off as a rapper.
Wow.
I did rap for, I think, 2 years.
Yes.
But it wasn't working out, so I had to lay back and just get to understand myself.
Right.
At that space, I got into Bible study, and I met a certain guy who we had a chat, and he was like, "You seem to be a smart kid. What's your name?" I was like, "Elvis." Then he was like, "Do you sing?" I was like, "Yeah, but how did you predict I could sing?" He was like, "There's a famous musician by the name Elvis." And growing up, my dad would introduce me to his buddies, like, "Meet my son, Prince Elvis." And guys would go like, "Elvis the musician,"
Right.
But I never, I was so ignorant. I never
Right.
went and did my research.
Right.
So after this guy mentioned the Elvis story, I was like, let me check this guy out.
Yeah.
So when I went and checked him out, I felt like this guy sounds like me. It felt like discovering a gold mine.
He's a big artist in the US.
Yes,
Big
and
country.
Yeah,
what I
huge.
loved,
Absolutely
what I
huge.
loved about him was his lifestyle.
Yes.
Me, I'm all into showbiz. I love
good things.
showbiz.
That's right.
I love the finer things. I'm a big fan of CMB Prezzo, by the way.
Yes.
Shout out to him.
Yes, yes.
Why are you
Yeah,
pointing at me, man? I'm not pointing.
No, as in you guys, you're always hanging out together,
Yes,
so,
yes.
Yeah, so
Yes.
I believe they made it happen for me to be here.
Absolutely.
So I loved the way he got into the entertainment scene. And when I saw Elvis, I saw the country version of like whatever he used to do. So I felt like, okay, so you can actually do this music and still be flamboyant and still be yourself.
Absolutely.
You know, so I kept on like now researching on more artists who sounded the same.
Yeah.
And that's when I discovered the Kenny Rogers, Dolly Partons.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
used
those
to-
are some big names.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Big names.
And I used to like, my dad used to sing The Gambler for me. You know,
Yeah.
we have like a mutual voice.
Kenny
you know.
Rogers, right?
So he used
Yeah,
to perform The Gambler. So I became curious about the music menu. Then I started going for karaoke. So whenever I do like an Elvis number or a Kenny Rogers number, I'd get a different reaction compared to whenever I used to rap. So I felt like, okay, this is my niche. But now one thing about country music is well thought of music.
Yeah.
You know, you have to crack your head. So I was like, yeah, I can sing Kenny, I can sing Elvis, but in order for me to stand out, I have to be me. I have to be
you.
Elvis Nyaruri.
Absolutely.
So the only way I can be Elvis Nyaruri is write my own music. And George would push me to do that.
Right.
So I started buying books, novels in the CBD. You know, I'd go and buy all these love novels. I read a book and then I write a song, read a book, write a song. Then I met this guy who's done literature. His name is Ken. So he advised me, told me like, okay, so I like what you're doing, but you're not doing it the right way. If you do it this way and this way, because I was basically giving out different stories in one song.
Right.
So he told me, you can. It's like school, you know. They give you a composition, the day I will never forget.
Yeah.
You can't write about 15 days.
Right,
You know, you have to stick
Focus
to
on one day.
On one day.
Right.
You know, so once I got to understand that, then I did my first album.
That's
it was
right.
called She's the One.
Okay.
Produced it at Big Soul Entertainment.
Okay.
You know, so with the album, I tried to push it into like mainstream.
Yeah.
It didn't get to the heights that I expected, but
Good.
it opened some doors for me.
You have to start from somewhere.
Yeah, of
Yes.
course. You definitely
You know,
have to.
and you know that as
Yes.
well as
Yes.
as a record label owner, right?
Yes. I don't know, former record label owner, yes. But
I
still.
mean, you know, I always say you have
Yes.
to invest in yourself before even the record company comes
Yeah.
to
Yes,
you.
yes.
It's not even just about the talent. They have to
Yes.
see does this person, is he passionate about this? Because you're the dream holder.
Right.
You know, so you're not in my dream. But once I convince you to get into my dream, then it's easier for you to invest in me because now you've believed in it.
Right.
You know, because I believe in it so much. So from my album, She's the One, I had a record called She's the One. It was a deadly record.
Who's this, bro? Who's this she?
She's the
The
one.
Mamacita behind
story
the
for
inspiration.
It's a notional sheet.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It was a story. I was reading this book called Crimson Morning, and
Okay.
they had some amazing, expensive lines, and I felt like, man, I need to write a story
Song.
about a song
Okay.
about
It could have
this.
come from the South because they're always talking about the Crimson Tide, which comes right out of Alabama.
Yeah.
Yeah. Their football team.
Yeah.
You know. So
All right.
that's exciting. Interesting
Yeah.
evolution for you.
Yeah. So from She's the One, I started going on the road. I formed a band. At the time, I was doing insurance.
Right.
Yeah. So whenever I'd get like my commission, I'd go invest in my album.
Yeah.
She's the One.
Yeah.
So by the time that was in 2017, late 2017, I was introduced to radio. You know, after elections, there was no business, and I'm doing insurance. So I'm like, I need to meet this Chris Kirobi, the late.
Yeah, the CK, DJ
Yeah.
CK.
You know, because everybody was talking about him, and I was like, man, I need to meet the guy.
Yeah.
You know, so I went to Capitol. I introduced myself, and that's when like they showed me like I can actually be on radio. Then I was
Yeah.
like, so you mean like I can just be on the airwaves
Because of the voice or
because of the voice and just use my voice and make an income, you know. And when I was in insurance, guys will tell me, are you sure you're in the right career? You know?
So you actually took a job from insurance as a radio broadcaster?
I tried to get a job. I never got the job.
I see,
So,
I see.
I went to several media houses.
Yeah.
And I felt, okay, let me just stick to the plan.
Okay.
So I formed a band.
Okay.
Started going on the road, getting to understand the market.
Okay.
You know, so I'd go to other country guys concerts and just watch what they're performing, listen to the songs they're playing. You know, why do people love this song? Why do people jump to this song?
And not the other song.
Yeah, then I got to understand the production process. And then my label approached me. They told me they'd like to work with me. And I did my demo, which is Geshagi is where I long to be with Lucas.
Which label are you?
Yeah.
Because me, I know you've been signed to Universal, bro.
Yeah. So
And also there's a time we wanted to work with you at Compact, but then again COVID came and swept us.
swept
you know,
the hell
swept
out of it.
everything.
But I've been
out,
watching
yeah.
a lot. I've been really watching a lot of the moves you and George have been making.
Yeah.
And I remember Elvis DM'd me.
Yeah.
So at first I was like, okay, so why is he DMing me? I'm going through my Insta and I'm going through his Insta. Then I see this is a rock star. I mean, he does country music. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Then he asked me, I think you told me, bro.
I
would
say hi
really-
to Prezzo.
Say hi to Prezzo and all that. So what I want to tell you is this show is Jones and Prezzo's podcast.
Yeah.
You knew
see.
that, right?
Yeah,
you
yeah,
knew that?
man. I knew.
So-
Yeah.
You have to do your research.
I'm like,
right?
it's
Yeah.
all right. I'm like, okay, cool. But so country, Prezzo is a rapper. How does these two connect?
Yeah.
But again, of course, being a music executive, I could have chosen, because a lot of people out here, you DM somebody and they'll just ignore.
Right.
You're
Yeah.
DMing somebody, maybe people think that this is a stalker.
Right.
But before I responded, I told them, no problem, bro. So what do you do? We started chatting.
Right.
Then before I knew it, I'm reading tweets out here, excuse me, and I'm seeing Jeff Koinange telling you stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. You know, Jeff Koinange is one of the biggest ambassadors we have for country
Yeah.
music, I think in Africa. And Jeff Koinange also does a lot of, support. I don't know if it is true, because really, I wanted you to talk about Jeff Koinange as well on.
Okay, my experience with him is
Checkered.
Is love hate.
limbo.
Yeah.
Checkered
Yeah,
experience.
Okay.
you know,
Cool.
Yeah, so yeah, it is what it is.
It is what, and that's the
You
problem.
gotta do what you gotta do.
And just like being a young person, of course, you've mentioned that you were inspired by Elvis and, your journey into country music and country being predominantly an older generation of kind of people that look a certain way.
Right.
Yeah.
Probably like got big bellies, maybe grandchildren.
Horses there.
Playing at the
You
juke
know?
joints, playing at the juke joints, drinking
Right.
beer.
So like how has it been for you like trying to rise up in the country genre, especially here in Nairobi?
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so in 2017, at the time, around Christmas, I met another guy. In my journey, I've just met
Guys and more guys.
It's like like the Jesus story where I kept on meeting good Samaritans.
Yes.
Yeah? So I've met guys. Yeah. So this guy told me we were hanging out at a bar having beer. It was Christmas season, and one of my buddies, his name is Ivan Sowino. He's the dad to one of my best friends, Phil Jackson. He's actually an artist. We should have him. Here. Yeah. So Ivan Sowino introduced me to a certain guy who loves country. So the guy's like, me, I love Elvis, Suspicious Minds. Then me, I sang Suspicious Minds. Then I was like, man, this guy can walk away with your lady.
It's all about the girl.
Then it was like, but this is what I want you to do. I love the fact that you're writing your own stuff, but I want you to be urban. There's contemporary country that's popping right now. I want you to go and check out this guy is called Florida Georgia Line, the song God, Your Mama and Me.
Yeah.
So the next day I went and checked out their song and I fell in love with them. It was another step. It was basically like discovering Elvis Presley. You get, because I saw how they were dressing. I listened to their music. It was like a Backstreet Boys kind of country, So I always believe in like nothing is impossible under the sun. Because when I was young, I used to look up to Prezzo, and we've met and we hang out.
Yeah.
And I have him on speed dial.
And you guys kind of have the same voice because
Really?
Prez and Elvis, when they sit together,
Yeah.
especially in a studio that is treated and the acoustics or soundproof, Elvis and Prez, you'll be like, okay, why is Prezzo trying to talk like, or why is Elvis?
That's
Right.
interesting.
So
That's interesting.
Yeah. So sorry for catching you short.
No, you're not cutting me short. Go ahead.
It happened. The same thing happened with the Florida guys that I was introduced to. I linked up with Brian Kelly, from a platform online, and he threw me a shout out. I saw a video. They were saying they wanna like play in Kenya.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I believe Africa is the future of country music.
Of
you know,
course.
especially right now that we have several black country stars,
Yes.
and I'm glad to be a part of that.
That's awesome.
You
That's
know.
awesome.
So we're speaking big time international artists here. That's what you're saying, eh?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Well,
man.
he wouldn't actually be here
If he wasn't.
if he wasn't
Exactly. Yeah.
upright. You know?
Yeah.
I think you're
I'm
going up.
I consider myself an international artist based in Kenya.
In Kenya.
That's right.
Because country is an international
It
genre.
is.
It is.
You know,
is.
so you just have to think globally, actually.
And what does George do on the management? Like, he's been pushing you, because every time I see Elvis, I'm seeing George. Every time I'm seeing
That's
Elvis,
good question. Judge
know,
of the
Basically
John, what do you
connecting
do?
him up.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, connecting him with people, connecting him with certain. For example, now
Yes.
his creator, you could say, is a cousin of mine. He lives in Vancouver, and we did that album. The two of them had never met. Just
Okay.
I connected them.
Cool.
And Mark is Mark Van
Mark
Rosie.
Van
Actually, when he was 7 years old, he could play a guitar.
Wow.
He'd listen to a song and say, I know how this goes.
Yeah.
He comes back after about half an hour. He'll play you the song. That's how it was.
Wow.
Yeah.
At 7.
Actually, it's a very interesting story. Yeah, we've met up with Lucas. Yeah, I go to Lucas's studio. First and foremost, I'm dead broke at that time, and then I receive a WhatsApp from Moses Osidiana. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
Lucas's cousin.
Yes.
So he sends me Lucas' number, and I only have free WhatsApp. So I'm like, I'm gonna WhatsApp this guy, because we're chatting on Instagram, and he was responding. So I started chatting, and he was responding to me, and he's like, okay, so how are you gonna sort me out? Then I'm like, there's a label that wants to facilitate this and that. So he tells me, come to the studio. So I go to the studio. First and foremost, he's wearing like a ninja because he's a biker. So I don't get to see
bro,
his face.
that's not ninja. It's called balaclava.
balaclava.
Balaclava, not bara. Balaclava.
Balaclava.
I know that because I rock
Not
them.
bara.
Yeah.
It's bala.
Balaclava.
Yeah, you know, you Costarians will say bara because you guys pick on Nairobi.
To a bara.
I'm gonna add that in my.
Is that like a mask kind of thing?
Yeah, the mask
Yeah,
that you wear.
Yeah,
to
like
protect.
a took.
Yeah.
It's for protection. You see when
And
you're
plus,
riding.
being COVID, the guy's wearing
Yeah.
a face mask,
Right.
so you can
And
only
then-
see his eyes.
That's right. Like
Yeah.
a ninja.
I wasn't there
Yeah,
that
like
day,
a
but
ninja.
Yeah, like a
Yeah, it's
ninja,
a
right.
protection.
So I'm only
from the
seeing
sweat.
this guy's eyes, yeah. So I have to convince this guy that he needs to produce some country.
Yeah.
Because whenever I tell several guys, admit guys,
Yeah.
and no offense, I'm trying to sell them the vision, but they're like, look at this guy. This guy is lost.
what did they say about guys? Watu wa country wamewacha kuimba.
They said
Watu wa country
All country people have stopped.
have stopped singing.
That's right. That's right.
yeah.
They are extinct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dinosaurs.
Yeah.
So they're wondering what's this young guy doing in country?
Yeah, what is
Why
this
is he
guy?
so lost?
Right.
Yeah, this guy is lost,
Right.
But I'm trying to sell that vision to guys they can't understand. So I
Yes.
met Lucas, and first and foremost, we talk about life, then we talk about the music business and where I'm seeing country music and why I'm doing country music. So I'm just talking. He's asking questions. I'm answering him. I'm showing him videos. This is where I've performed. This is where other guys are performing. You see these people. They're like this. You see this crowd. This is the future. Nini. So he takes a seat. Then he listens. Then he tells me, "You're very lucky." I'm like, "Why?" Says you're the first person who's ever walked into these studios and convinced me to do something I've never done.
Right.
I'm gonna record you for
That's
free.
power, man. Ah,
That's
nice.
really good.
Yeah.
That's really good.
So there's a song, the Gishagi is Where I Long to Be song. I'd performed it for Churchill, before COVID,
Yes.
So I had this habit of going to radio stations, especially Radio Africa. I used to go there and just camp. Hey, good morning, I'm here. I have an appointment with Kingangi. Are you sure? Yeah. So when I sit there, I look at who looks like a celebrity that I can talk to. Because I'm lying. And
You're
this lady,
celebrity hunting.
He's hunting literally.
and this lady who's at the reception,
Yeah.
she knows this guy is lying. But
What can I
there's a
do?
day I had to come with flowers because I was consistently lying. But I knew she's gonna kick me out, so I came
Yeah.
with flowers and And she just wore a smile and she was like,
Okay.
sit there and wait for
Kingangi,
whoever.
Whoever
Yeah.
you want to see.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So this day, Kingangi walks out, and I've told her that I have an appointment with Kingangi, and I don't want her to feel like, okay, this is lying, he's still lying. So I give him a signal, and he knows this guy wants to communicate. So I holler at him. I tell him I'm a country guy. What not? He's like, so when you're doing this country music, are you different? How are you different?
Yes.
Then I'm like, let me just show you how I do it. Then I sing the Gishagis Long to Be song. And it's like,
Wow.
I'd like you to come to South Sea's finest. We do this song. We're celebrating Isa. I'm like, okay, cool.